If you've been playing guitar for more than a couple of minutes, you've probably come across the concept of pentatonic scales, and you've been having a great time improvising a bit of blues with them. But then you went and listened to a really sophisticated blues player like B.B. King or someone, and suddenly you feel like your efforts are the musical equivalent of chucking a load of saucepan lids down a flight of stairs. Well, don't worry, because I've got a few ideas for you courtesy of some hexatonic scales. So a hexatonic scale is simply a scale with 6 different notes in it. A pentatonic scale is a scale with 5 different notes in it. Now, there is no one pentatonic or hexatonic scale. There are many, many variations. But when I said pentatonic scale, I would wager you probably imagined this scale. The minor pentatonic scale. Now, the reason pentatonic scales are so common is because, in spite of what I might have implied earlier, they are very, very good. They are very musical, they're very versatile, so we are not here to shame the pentatonic scale or make out that it's in any way deficient. We're just exploring ways of adding a little bit of extra colour. The minor pentatonic scale here, which I'm playing in the key of B, is the following notes. B, D, E, F sharp, and A, before returning to B. Which typically, of course, we play over 2 octaves, like so. Now, if it's okay with you, I'm going to assume for the purposes of this, that scale and that shape are pretty familiar. So let's look at the first hexatonic variation. Okay, my first hexatonic scale then is going to be that B minor pentatonic scale plus the interval of a ninth. Now, if you don't know scales in terms of intervals, I would humbly suggest it's really worth it, because then it makes it a lot easier to change keys and stuff like that. So if you don't already know, a minor pentatonic scale is a root note, a minor third, a fourth, a fifth, and a minor seventh, before returning to the octave. The ninth is basically another name for a second, i.e. the second or ninth note in the scale. In the case of B, that is going to be a note of C sharp. So if I play the entire scale, including the C sharp, it's going to go like this. I'll run you through that shape again if it's new to you. So we're going on the E string 7, 9, 10, and then 7, 9 on the A string, then 7, 9 again on the D string, and then on the G string we're going 6, 7, 9, then on the B string 7, 10, and then 7 on the E string. So even just straight up and down, you can hear it's got a little bit of extra something, but let's hear it in context. Now, I find this particular hexatonic scale works really nicely over a kind of minor 7 groove, something a little bit like this. And it can really liven up even just a simple descent down the scale. So say if I was going to do something just strictly minor pentatonic over that. Works absolutely fine, but let's add in that ninth on the way down and hear what effect that has. really nice thing you can do with the ninth is if you take one of those classic kind of repeating licks you might do with the minor pentatonic scale at the top end of it, something like this, where you're hammering on from 7 to 10 on both the B and the E string. You can generate a nice bit of speed there because it's a nice symmetrical shape. But if we substitute in the ninth on that higher string and instead hammer on from 7 to 10 on the B string, but then 7 to 9 on the E string, there's our C sharp, our ninth. We get something that might remind you a bit of Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, the other hexatonic scale I would recommend starting off with is the minor pentatonic plus the major sixth. So in the key of B, that is going to mean adding a note of G sharp into the mix. So the full scale, if we were to play it up and down, would go like this. 7, 10 on the E string, 7, 9 on the A string, then 6, 7, 9 on the D string, then 7, 9 on the G string, then 7, 9, 10 on the B string, then 7 on the E. Which might sound like a little bit of a strange jumble at the moment, but bear with me. As the scale changes, the context needs to change as well. That note, the major sixth, really doesn't sound all that great over a minor key groove, in my experience. There might be someone who could make it work. Jeff Beck probably could have made that work and have it sound amazing. I cannot, I'm afraid. So we are changing our backing here to something maybe a little bit more traditionally bluesy. It's using dominant chords, like so. You might have noticed I've included a chord change in there, that very typical bluesy move from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. In this case, we're going from a B dominant 9 to an E dominant 9 and then back again. And in this setting, the major 6 will work very nicely indeed. Permit me to demonstrate. So when you're playing this hexatonic scale over the root chord, which in this case is a B dominant 9, it's going to sound really, really tasteful, including that major sixth, because you're helping reflect the kind of neither major nor minor sound of the dominant chord, which has both major and minor intervals within it. So you can play a kind of a typical minor pentatonic thing, but including that sixth helps us to avoid having to commit to being either completely major or minor. Let's hear that in action. Now, you notice I stopped there when we came to the E9 chord, the 4 chord. But actually, that major sixth is going to work really, really well there as well, because the G sharp that we've added is the 3rd of the E9 chord. So you're managing to incorporate what some people would call a chord tone, a note that is within the chord you're playing over. So you can be sure that's going to sound very in tune and very melodic. So if you're playing over a groove that's moving between chord 1 and chord 4, pretty reasonable assumption if you're playing a blues, that major sixth is going to work really, really well for you in both instances. Let's have a listen. And there we go, a little bit of inspiration there hopefully for your next blues jam. Really hope there was some stuff of interest there to you. If so, please consider liking, subscribing, etc. And I'll see you with something else very soon. Cheers.